Welcome to a Backyard Ultra podcast. Well, the 2023 MVP Backyard Ultra was run on the weekend, and the last one standing was Ross McLean with 28 yards. His assist was Phil Ryan. I wasn't able to track down Ross to get him onto this podcast, but Phil Ryan did come on, and Nick Kumar also came on, and he did 26 yards. So I hope you enjoy it. Okay, Phil and Nick, how you going?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, awesome.
G'day, Pato.
Hey, mate. I tell you what, MVP, I absolutely loved that race. I'm tipping you guys did as well, yeah?
Yeah, I had a ball. It was for a first up backyard ultra. It was a hell of an experience.
Yeah. And you did well, Phil, the assist.
Well, that's my third time there, so I've run those loops a few times now. Had a bit of practice. Yeah, I love it. I love that race. It is fantastic.
Yeah. Nick, you mentioned it was your first backyard ultra. It was the first time I've ever run in a race with you. So can you tell us a bit about your running journey, like your ultra running journey?
So I was helping a friend who was doing a 100-miler for a charity out on the Two Bays course, I think April 2020. Never done any trail running, never sort of done any serious running as such. So I just paced her and then just fell in love with trail running after that. So the three big events I've done was Surf Coast Century, Noosa Ultra Trail, and then Brisbane Trail Ultra as well, the 110 up there last year.
Yeah. So,
yeah, straight into it. But, yeah, absolutely fell in love, and I thought I'd give the Backyard Ultra a try, and, yeah, it was one hell of an experience.
Yeah. So were you running, like, much at all before? Like, had you done any marathons or anything like that?
No, never run anything, never run marathon, probably never run more than 5 or 10K in one single running block.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Oh. That's impressive.
Yeah, I played a lot of hockey growing up as a kid, so I'd always had that general fitness, but as far as running, endurance running, I've never done anything like that. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
How long have you been running for, Phil?
I sort of started in 2009. Ran my first marathon in 2009 and hated it. Didn't do enough training, and it just nearly killed me. I had this idea, for some reason back then, that if you didn't run every single step, then it didn't count. You hadn't run a marathon.
Right, yeah.
And that just didn't work. So I ran through the drink stops without the aid stations without having much to drink, and I fell apart about 35 Ks or so.
Yeah.
So I didn't do another marathon until 2016. And that one went just as badly, but I thought, I've got to work out how to do this. And so sort of got the hang of it a little bit, did a few more. And I did my first ultra at the end of 2016 at Marysville, a 50K. And then did my first 100K, which was the Surf Coast Century the next year in 2017, which was good fun. That's a great race, that one. I had no idea. I had no idea. You'd think you'd have some idea if you've done a 50. No idea. So I got lost with 2 or 3 Ks to go on the Surf Coast Century track. So you're in the suburbs at that stage, and I just got lost walking down suburban roads. I didn't know where I was going. So there's a spot about 2 Ks to go where you come to a roundabout and you turn left, and there's a big sign pointing where to go. And I thought, that sign's pointing the wrong direction. I should be on the beach. And so I was walking through the car park, trying to find a track down. I'm sort of climbing through trees, trying to scratch my way down to the beach. 10 or 15 minutes. In the end, I gave up, just sat down and waited for the next person to come along. I said, "Can you take me to the finish line, please?" And so since then it's been a bit better. Last year I ended everything, I think, pretty much. So just because as I was just saying to Pato before we started, I retired in 2020, so I've got a lot of time on my hands. Yep. So yeah,
perfect.
Every race is available, really.
Well, you've definitely improved your backyard ultra stats. Like, because I see when you did your first MVP, you did 16. Then last year you did 20, and the other day you did 27. So
yeah. Well, like I said, I've got a lot of time to train. I run most days because I've got the time to do it. It's a luxury, and it is just I'm very fortunate to be able to do it, I guess. So it's just a problem of that. You've got the time to do it, and I love running. I just love running every day. So yeah, that's it.
fantastic. Why not if you can do it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And Nick, with your how long ago did you plan on doing MVP?
So I was looking at it around probably. I was originally signed up to go to do the Alpine 100 up the Running Wild one. I got injured and was sort of looking around. I thought I'm going to give this backyard ultra thing a crack. So it was probably October last year I started looking at it and sort of coming out thinking what I wanted to do. And then, started some early November, started training for it. And then just committed from there and thought I'd see how I ended up. So, yeah.
Did you do any, did you think about how you were training and what type of training did you do leading up to the MVP that would have been different otherwise? Or did you just do lots of long runs?
No, so leading the first probably 7 or so weeks, it was more just a lot of time on legs sort of running, probably averaging around 80, 85K mark. And then sort of stepped it up into race simulation stuff. So a lot of, I've found a 6.7 kilometre loop where I live. So I was running that and then doing it as per what you do in a race on the hour, every hour using the brakes. Yeah. So I think I did 4, 6, 8 and 10 hours as totals across that block to sort of try and, although the vert wasn't as much, but just that understand the start and stop behind it all.
Yeah. And were you practicing like your nutrition plan and stuff like that as well?
Yeah, I did practice the nutrition. Something I still need to work a lot on. I think. But, only having run 110K is the furthest I've ever done. It's just what the body goes through after that I learn on the weekend. It's just a whole nother ball game. Everything changes.
Yeah. I think that the nutrition side of it is probably the part that you just got to, you learn after every backyard ultra. Because it's the only time you're going to really practice whatever you've planned. So you did something a bit different, didn't you, Phil, with your nutrition? You had fried rice or something like that?
Yeah, I normally go with pasta and I went with fried rice this time. And I don't think I'd do it again. I think my stomach was a little bit off for the whole race. So, you live and learn. But, it didn't quite work out. It was okay, but I just had to – normally I have absolutely no issues. And I sort of felt like I was a bit on the edge of something falling apart for the last 10 hours or 12 hours, But it was okay, but it was just, I had to be wary of it, I think, really.
Yeah. And Nick, you looked like for your first backyard ultra, you came in like fully prepared. You brought in your own marquee, a decent sized crew. So, you obviously were taking it pretty serious. Like you were looking at it as an A race, obviously.
Oh, it was definitely my A race. It was something I really wanted to do really well in. The original goal was wanted to be there Sunday morning. That was where my head was at the whole time. But I knew at about 120 that I had to reassess where I was and be happy to keep moving on and where I was at. But yeah, look, I got a friend in WA and she helped me out a lot, Jen Millam. So I've been talking to her quite a fair bit and she talked me through what I need to know and how to learn. And she just kept pushing me all day as well. So in that sense, it was one of those things. I got a lot of tips off her and I watched a lot of the Herdies. I think Herdies did one. Is it Birdies as well? Got a YouTube video. So I was watching the way people were coming into aid stations and the setups they had and things like that.
Yeah. YouTube's an awesome resource.
Yeah, that's where I got all those ideas off. Just make sure I was fully set up and had enough food and drink. I was covered. I was warm. So, yeah.
Because, Robbie from the Shepparton Backyard Ultra, the race director there, when he race directed his first Backyard Ultra last year, he'd never even been to a Backyard Ultra. He just knew what to do because he'd been watching the videos on YouTube.
It's exactly what I was at as well. It's funny how that works. YouTube's a source of research now.
Yeah. And did you go into the race with a strategy, Nick? As far as pacing goes, because it looked like you were pretty consistent around the 49, 48 minute mark.
Yeah, it was the first sort of. I think I said to myself going in on that day, I really needed to try and figure out the first sort of 3 to 5 loops of where I could run, where I couldn't run, what needed to be walked, and the like. And I was actually surprised at how consistent those splits stayed nearly the whole day until the very end. I was normally I'd go into a race with a nutrition saying, okay, this checkpoint, I'm going to have this checkpoint. But I was so unsure of the format. I just said to my crew, I'll tell you the loop before what I'm thinking, get it ready, and then we'll just take each loop as it came. And I was never counting more than one loop ahead, which I think helped in the long run.
Yeah.
But yeah, for my first backyard ultra, I'm stoked with the overall result. Yeah.
No, you should be.
Yeah.
Because it's a tough one. It is known as one of the toughest backyard ultras in Australia.
Okay, well, that's good to know because I felt every bit of it at the end. Yeah.
Phil, I noticed I compared your lap times to the year before, and I saw this year you definitely looked like you're going a lot faster than you were the year before.
Yep.
As far as lap times, was that a conscious thing, or as far as strategy goes, was it just you felt better?
Just felt better, yeah. That's all it was. I was aiming for 51, 52, which I think was roughly what I did last year. And no, it just felt better. I'm a bit fitter, I think, this year. And I just felt better. Felt good all day. Every lap, my legs felt good right from the start, and they sort of deteriorated through the hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't really get stiff and sore until 22 or 23 hours probably. So yeah, it just felt good.
Yeah. So Nick, you mentioned you went in with the goal of still being there Sunday morning.
Yeah.
I had the same goal going in.
Yeah, I remember you and I had this little chat about, I think it was 24, 25 hours.
Yeah.
We were talking about that when we saw each other for the first time. And
yeah.
And I was like, I'm done. I don't know how much I've got left in me at that point.
Because I didn't really see either of you till the very end, because you were both faster than me on all your loops. I was around the 50 minute, 51 minute mark each loop with mine.
Yeah, I didn't see Phil till the very end, and I think I saw yourself a few times. But yeah, Phil, I think I caught up with Phil probably from hour 20, 21 onwards, sort of past each other, and I'd run past and he'd catch me, and we sort of, I think right around 23, maybe we had a little bit of a chat at some point from there.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Yeah, I hardly saw you out on the course at all. It's weird, isn't it? You can sort of spend all that time racing with someone and you just don't really see them. No, and you're probably only a minute in front of me or a minute behind me most of the time, but yeah.
Did you go in there with the goal, Phil?
I was hoping to get through the second night as well, I think, yes. But I remember from last year how hard it was getting up and getting down that hill. I just really struggled with getting up and down. And I think getting down is just as bad, actually.
Yeah, that's where I fell down as well, was trying to get down the hill.
Yeah. At the end of it, definitely going down was hardest for me as well. Like, I just didn't know what. Like in the first few hours, I was loving that hill going down it, but towards the end, I just didn't. My legs just didn't know what to do anymore going down that hill.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
It was exactly the same. Once my ITB went, that was it. I was just holding on for dear life trying to come down that hill.
Yeah. Is that why I noticed you did strap your leg? Was that around the 20-hour mark?
Yeah. So there was a guy, is it Adam Nettleton? Is that his name?
Netto.
Yeah, Netto. So he told me, he said, try and strap your knee up. There was another guy who went about 80 Ks. He says, I'll go and see my physio when you come in. But his physio was busy, so my guys just YouTubed the video and we just strapped it up and hoped for the best in the end and got me through another 5 or 6 hours. So
did it seem to make a bit of a difference?
Yeah, look, by the time I came in and cooled down, I don't know if you guys saw, but it was like that first 1,500, 2K took so long to warm up.
Yeah.
And I was just hobbling to try and get it warmed up and just in excruciating pain by that point.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm not sure about you guys, but I definitely found the hardest part of the whole course from the start of the first loop to that first hill. That getting to that first hill just felt like it took forever towards the end.
Totally agree. I remember looking, I was like, okay, the power lines is like the closest, and then that big tree on the left hand side, like you can see the tree, you're almost there, then you can have a walk.
Yeah.
Every time that was my marker.
Yeah. I was almost imagining seeing that tree towards the end. I wanted to see it so bad.
It was. I was going to say there was a big puddle on the path, and it was about 220 metres, I think, from the big puddle to the tree. So
Right. Yeah.
did you start down every lap?
Yeah. So did you start walking at the puddle, Phil? Or
No, I kept running. I usually ran to the tree, but I was always very, very happy to get there.
oh yeah. But it was funny because even though the biggest hill of the total loop was on the second circuit, that was actually my favourite circuit because so much of it is downhill, and also a lot of it is walking as well. And I didn't mind walking up the hill at all. I don't know about you guys.
I was all right. I didn't mind walking up the hill, but I knew once I got up the top of the hill what was going to come after that.
Mm.
So I knew that I was in trouble from trying to get down the ridge line and then back onto that flattish section.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I didn't enjoy going up the hill at all. Don't like it. Don't like it at all. No.
Yeah, it's not easy. And it was and on the second day. It got really hot for a couple of hours too. That made it hard. I can't even imagine doing it like at 30 degrees like it was last year.
No, that's what I pulled the pin last year was 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon where it just got too hot over there for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You did there. You and I had that chat out there. I remember you telling me about that now. That's right. Yeah.
So I would have loved to have had Ross McLean on as well, who won the race, but I couldn't find him on any social media or anything like that. But I think it's definitely worth talking a bit about what we saw of him because he was awesome.
He was phenomenal to watch. I couldn't believe, like, all of a sudden he was walking every little hill, small or big, and then just, like a gazelle, just taking off again.
He was gliding, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He just looked so smooth. Yeah, terrific.
Yeah. It looked like he was he was averaging about 44 minutes every loop.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is unbelievable. I think his slowest 2 loops were his last 2, and that was 45. So he wasn't slowing down.
No.
He was amazing.
Every time I come in, he was already in his seat.
Yeah.
Well, until he closed off, I was like, dude, he looked fresh.
Yeah. And he wasn't, I know he had a crew for a lot of the time, but at the end he was there on his own, wasn't he, Phil?
Yeah, he was on his own. Yep. Yeah, it was funny. At the end of the race, there were only Brett and Robin from Trials Plus there, and Ross and myself and Barry from Zero Sports Beer and my wife, and that was it. There was no one else. It was very, very quiet.
So what happened? What happened at the end of the race? Because obviously I stopped at 26, and then I was not sure, like, all of a sudden we're like, oh, it's almost over, like it's done.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I also finished on 26 loops, but I started my 27th.
Yeah.
And then turned back.
Yeah.
I think I could have done another loop, but the pain was so much, and I was satisfied with coming in the top 3 and doing 26 hours and all that type of stuff. So I just thought, I can't do any more. This is enough. And so it was I gave up mentally before anything else. So I mean, last night I woke up at 3:30 in the morning and I couldn't get back to sleep because I still couldn't stop thinking about how disappointed I was actually. But but I'm over it now. I've got to leave it. It was a good learning opportunity. I'm still happy with the result. And I'm definitely going to improve for my next one.
Make the fuel burn brighter, and that's what it's about.
Yeah.
You can't remember how much pain you're in. That's the thing. You can remember the disappointment, but you can't remember the physical feeling you had at the time. If you can remember it, you think, oh, no, I'm glad I pulled out. That really hurt.
So true.
How did it end, Phil? Because me and Nick were both gone.
Yeah, so you completed 26.
Yeah.
And were you there, Pato, when I got back from 20?
Yeah, well, when you finished your 27th, I was still there,
Yeah.
You didn't
That's
realise that I had turned back.
No.
So you go, when did you get back?
Yeah, I thought you must have been in front of me. I thought,
Yeah.
oh, where was it? How did that happen?
Yeah. But yeah, I'd been there for almost 45 minutes. So just,
Oh, right.
yeah.
I passed because my wife had turned up and she'd started crewing for me.
Yeah.
And she didn't tell me. She
Yeah.
could have mentioned it.
Yeah.
So I got in. I think I did that lap in about 55 minutes, and I was pretty much buggered then. And I thought, I'll have to go out for one more and see how we go. And then the next one that took about 58 or 58 and a half or something. And I was dragging myself the last little loop. So I went out for the next one, and I just did the first loop in about 20 minutes. I thought, no, I'm not going to make it. So I pulled the pin then.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I knew at 26 when I was chasing Phil down in that last loop to try and make it back at, I think, 55, 45 or whatever we were. I was like, if I can't keep up with Phil, there is no way I'm going to make it back for 27. That's how I gauge. I'm like, no, not if I'm pushing this hard and I can't get back and Phil's pushing to get back as well.
Yeah.
No, that was it.
I remember on the 25th loop, Phil and I were running that loop together. And Nick, I turned around at the beginning of that loop and I couldn't see you.
Yeah.
I thought you might have turned around and gone back. And then out of nowhere towards the end of the loop, you flew past us.
Yeah.
I was like, I said, did you see that?
Yeah. Who was that?
I came down the bottom of the ridge line and I was hating it. I was just hurting and I was like, you're going to at least finish on a high note. Like, give it a shot, finish running through the finish line. And all of a sudden I just got this, it was almost, someone described it to me as it was like the last breath before you die. So I was like, just go out. I just ran my little heart out because I was like, oh, well. And then I knew when I started 27, I'm like, sorry, when I started 26, I was done.
Yeah.
Like I was out. I think I ran past Phil. I said, don't mind me. I said, I'm just giving whatever I've got left.
Yeah.
You were flying. You were
flying.
Yeah.
So how did you both pull up? I'm not sure if I've asked you yet. How did you both pull up?
I've pulled up pretty sore, but given what I've run, it's probably a little bit expected. Like my right ITB is not still great, and just got some shin and bone swelling around my feet, which I'm waiting to still subside. But there's nothing. Doesn't feel like there's anything serious going on down there, which is great. So, yeah, like I said, 60 k's further, 9 hours longer than I've ever been on my feet. Something's going to hurt and give for sure.
Yeah. Not too bad, but I don't think I've got any injuries. So I was pretty sore on Sunday, better yesterday, and a bit better today. So I'm going for a run tomorrow. Just a slow run. We'll see how we go. No guarantees, but not bad. Not too bad.
Yeah, that's good.
How'd you pull up?
Not bad. I'm a bit like you. Like I think I said to you before. Like I wish I was hurting more, so I felt like I pulled out for a reason. But I'm feeling really, really good.
Yeah,
so I'll go for a run tomorrow as well.
Yep.
Only a short one. It's short and slow, but yeah.
Yeah.
How did you guys approach sleep? I mean, Phil, we were pretty close to each other, so it looked like you were like sort of like might have had a doze off once or twice, but
I tried. I couldn't really. I couldn't get to sleep. I think I was still a bit too excited by the whole thing. I don't think I've really ever slept at one of these races. No. Maybe just for a moment or two. I'm just sort of always a bit too pumped up, really, to sleep. And I think that's a problem. I think you get a bit over a day, get to the second night, and I'm just starting to get a bit blurry and incoherent, and I think that's probably a problem. I didn't even try to sleep during the day, during Saturday, because I knew it wouldn't work. So that's something I've got to work on, I think, is try to find a way to get to sleep.
Yeah,
I got a few minutes here and there Friday night. I think I did one hot lap and then came in and probably got maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and then a few 30-second cat naps here and there. But once the sort of once that sun came up on Saturday morning, or once we got back to daylight, that was the end of my sort of resting and sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because it was a late start as well, it's hard to sleep on that first night because you haven't actually been going for that long.
Yeah.
That's right.
If it was an early start, then maybe that first night would be a lot easier to sleep. And also, Phil and I were in like the communal marquees, and they were pretty packed and not quiet the first night.
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah.
It was like a hive of activity in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
When I saw that set up, I was sort of, I'm like, oh, I'm glad I set my own marquee up and had my own little space to come back to every time.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely the last one I'm doing where I don't bring my own marquee. I'm going to invest in a marquee for the next one. I think it's a valuable asset at a backyard ultra for sure.
Yeah.
Just got,
what did you have at Shepparton? What were you using there?
well, I had a tent, and that worked. That was perfect for Shepparton because it's a large tent.
Yeah.
And it was actually better than a marquee because at Shepparton, because we were all set up in a car park, there was a massive downpour of rain, and the poor people in the marquees, all the rain like went into a puddle where they were set up in their marquee, and their stuff got drenched.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. So tent was good. I might even use a tent, but I've already started looking into getting a marquee. So
okay,
for sure. So when did you guys start feeling pain in the race, mentally and physically?
I reckon that lap 22.
Right.
I reckon.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I knew from about lap 16, 17 that I was going to start being in trouble soon. Big trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, it was about the same for me, about 18, 19, but I was more nervous of something going wrong and me stuffing up and not making 24. That's what I was just absolutely shitting myself that something would happen and I wouldn't make the 24. But when I did,
what did you think would go wrong? What did you think would go wrong? Something in your control or something out?
Just something out of my control. Like when I was at Shepparton, I did 22, and my body just stopped letting me run, and I was scared like something like that would happen.
Oh, right.
But then when I hit the 24, it was kind of I stopped. Eating was a lot harder, and I started losing a lot of energy as well. So I didn't have much energy left by the 26th lap anymore.
What were you eating, Dave, throughout the day?
I had a pretty good plan set up. I had Tailwind nutrition, so I was drinking that all throughout each loop.
Yep.
I was also alternating between like just your snakes, marshmallows, pancakes, Maggi noodles.
Yep.
I had some Morton gels.
Yep.
I also was taking caffeine gels every 5 hours.
Yep.
And they were really helpful for me.
Yep.
My only regret is that I didn't also have a Tailwind. What's it, the one that you take when you finish your workout? I forget what it's called. But that one's got more protein in it and fats. It's like more of a complete meal. If I had that with me as well, that could have been a supplement to eating hard food because I just couldn't eat any more pancakes and Maggi noodles. I just couldn't swallow it anymore.
Did you guys have a set plan of when you wanted to eat, or did you just eat as you felt? Like, did you come and say, okay, this loop I'm going to have this, in 5 hours I have Maggi noodles and I'll top up with that again? Or was it just, I'll eat when I feel like it as such?
Well, I actually made a spreadsheet with what I would eat at the end of each lap.
Okay.
And I stuck to it pretty much all the way up until 22, 23. And it worked really, really well. And another reason why it worked well is it took out because when you're running for that long, you don't really know what you want to eat. And it takes the guesswork out of it. And also you're looking forward to, in 3 hours, in 3 hours I've got the Maggi noodles. That's something to look forward to. that kind of thing. That was something to look forward to as well.
Yep.
That helped me get through a few laps.
Yeah, okay. They're just curious.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about you, Phil? I mean, you had your fried rice?
Yeah, no, I didn't really have a plan. I just tried to cover all the bases. So I had a lot of sweet and a lot of savoury. Fruitcake. I had a large fruitcake is my go-to. If everything else fails, fruitcake always seems to work. A light coloured fruitcake.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I had some gels, which I had quite a few of. A lot of calories from drinks. So I had Red Bull and Coke, Gatorade, lollies. I had potato chips and salty biscuits.
Yep.
Also have a couple of Vegemite sandwiches.
Yeah.
And some croissants with a bit of butter and jam on them, which really work well for me.
Yeah.
But that's about it. I prefer to eat rather than go the gels. The gels are an emergency, and they really do work quickly if I'm feeling a bit down. But I'd much rather. It's just something to look forward to. Like you said, when you come in, you can actually sit down and eat something and drink something. It just makes me feel better, I think.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
yeah.
What about you, Nick? What did you learn as far as your nutrition goes?
My nutrition normally would revolve around sort of those longer runs where you're out there the whole time around gels, but I was surprised at how well I took solids all day. I probably lost it towards the end where I didn't know what I wanted and what I felt like. And when I unpacked my food box, there was so much food in there that I should have eaten, which I didn't. I should have laid it all out on the table rather than have it in the box and keep trying to think what my crew, because I don't think my crew were looking in there at what I wanted. They were asking what I wanted. But yeah, I had chips, Maggi noodles, avocado, toast, boiled eggs. So I had enough, but I just don't think I did it consistently enough throughout the day in the end.
Yeah.
A couple of gels towards the end, ginger beer, watermelon, and some cans of Coke.
Oh, that's right. I ate so much watermelon. I probably ate almost a whole watermelon.
That's ginger beer and watermelon is my go-to. If everything else fails, that's I'll survive on that for as long as I can.
Yeah. Were there any other things you learned that you might make adjustments next time?
I think I've got a lot to learn. I think I think this is just sort of scratching the surface, but I think just to be more consistent and rest. Like when I saw you guys, every time I came in, you guys had your feet up and resting is something that I don't think I was doing enough of. And the other thing I think, looking back, and I've spoken with a few of my crews, maybe sometimes I had too many people around. I was trying to talk to people rather than coming in, focusing and just resting, just getting back, letting the crew do everything, and then resetting and heading back out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Phil? What do you?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Nick's last point. That's the same. If you're not focused on what you need to do, if you're sort of taking time out to talk to other people, I had people come and visit me, and that's fine. I'm very happy that they did. But I should have, on the laps where they weren't there, I should have then made the effort to sit down and relax and close my eyes for a bit and just concentrate on what I was supposed to be doing. It's nice to have someone come every now and again for a break. Love it. But I should have, when there was no one there, I should have concentrated on resting, and I didn't.
Yeah. Look, I was super grateful. That's the first time I've had all my family come down and my little nieces and nephews, so it was absolutely brilliant. But yeah, during those, I think Friday night into Saturday morning was super quiet, and I was able to just to sit down, start again, go again without sort of worrying about who was around or looking to say hi. And I loved having everyone there. It was fantastic. But I think, with some sleep now and reviewing what can go better, that'd be definitely one of the things I would look at changing possibly.
Yeah.
How do you go with that, Pato? Because you had a crew there for the whole time, did you not?
Yeah.
How do you have that conversation about, look, thanks for coming, but when I come in this lap, I really just want to sit here and close my eyes and not talk to you at all. Do you do that, or?
Yeah, well, pretty much like we had I was putting on noise cancelling headphones and one of those headscarves over my eyes.
Yeah.
And I mean, we live together and see each other pretty much all day, every day. So it doesn't matter if we don't talk for 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Just the main thing is that I was worried that she would forget to wake me up. So I was lying there, closing my eyes, trying to be as relaxed as possible, but also in the back of my mind, like not really wanting to fall straight to sleep because I was scared I wouldn't wake up.
Yep.
Which probably wouldn't have happened, but it was still playing on my mind.
Yep. Yep.
Well, was there anything like that you planned to do that you didn't actually put into action, that the race finished and you thought, oh, I forgot about that?
No, I think for me, I took a lot of spare clothes and shoes, and I think I changed once. I think my crew got a shower together for me. I think at like hour 21 or hour 22, so I was able to have a hot shower.
Did you?
Yeah, the boys got a little pump and set a little shower head up for me, and so went out the back and had a little quick shower and freshened up a little bit and changed clothes and got going again, which was a massive game changer for me.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Well done.
Yeah, the boys, my crew did awesome with that. They held the towel up and let me have a shower and whatnot. So it was there's a short little video which was a good laugh. But yeah.
And it was a hot shower too, wasn't it?
They boiled some water with the camp stove we had and kept boiling it until I was ready, and then mixed a little bit of cold water into it. I think it was about 2 or 3 minutes I was able to do it, and then quickly ran over, got changed, and off we went again.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, that is impressive. Yep, that's great.
Let's see, I've got a few other questions here. What other races do you guys have on the radar coming up?
Oh, I've got nothing at the moment. I'm just going to let the body recover and then see what happens after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? I've got the Coburg 24-hour in April. What else? Great Ocean Road 60K in May.
Oh yeah.
Never done before, and I've always thought it was beyond me. So I reckon I'll be, if I make it, it'll be 6 hours 29 and a half, because it's got a 6 hour 30 cut off, which seems a bit extreme. Shepparton, so I'll be going back up to Shepparton for the backyard up there. Yeah. And I'm going over to Adelaide for the 6-day race in October, which will be something different. So we'll see how that goes.
So you did that last year as well, but you did the 72 hours.
Did the 72 hour, yeah, that's right. Yep. Yeah, and met all the 6-day people and looked them in the eye after 5 days and thought, yeah, that this looks horrible. I have to give this a try.
That appeals to me too, but I'm not going to do it this year, and I probably won't do it next year. But in the future, I'd love to do something like that. Yeah. I did the Great Ocean Road 60K last year. I did MVP, then I did Coburg 24, then I did Great Ocean Road 60 as well.
Okay. Yeah. So how did you find that? Was there enough time to recover to get that done?
I probably shouldn't have done the Great Ocean Road. But you're different from me. My feet were absolutely screwed, and I shouldn't have done the Great Ocean Road. And I'm not doing it this year. I was going to, but I've thought I really want to do well in these backyard ultras, so I'm going to skip the Great Ocean Road this year. But it's a fun race. Have you done the 44K?
No. I've driven it.
You just go straight to the 60K.
It's fun. The thing that makes it 60K is like 2 detours that go up.
Yeah, up the hill.
Yeah, those hills, they're pretty tough, especially the first one.
Oh, really? Okay, thanks.
I was going to say, just to give you something to look forward to, Phil.
Yeah. He's laughing too.
What about the Masters? We did talk about that a little bit during MVP.
Yeah. So when is it? What's
17th of June.
It's in Queensland. Is it in Queensland?
Yeah.
I have to think about it. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really thought about any new races in the last few days because you wait till you recover, I think, before signing up for another one. But yeah, maybe. So they've still got spots available?
Yeah. Well, I actually spoke to Tim, the race director, the other day, and he wanted me to make sure that you guys know that you've both qualified by doing over 24 hours. So if you guys want to do it, you can do it. It's the only thing is it's free if you've done over 35 loops, but it's 150 if you've done over 24.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I signed up yesterday. I can't wait.
So what's that? Just it's the same format, but you have to qualify as such to get there.
Yeah, basically it's just the best. It's basically only the best, or the best results can get in. So anyone who's done over 24 can get in, but they're also flying Harvey Lewis over from America, who was a world record holder, who's done 75 yards before, and he's won Badwater twice.
Wow.
So he's coming over for it.
Yeah.
And all the other Australian backyard ultra runners, like Phil Gore's doing it, Ryan Crawford's doing it.
Yeah.
All the WA guys that I know of are doing it. So
all the heavy hitters will be there.
Yeah. So it's at the Dead Cow Gully. You've probably heard of Dead Cow Gully, and it's going to be a bit different though. They're going to have a night course and a day course. So and it's all geared towards getting a high total. So it's not much elevation. It's not going to be like one of the things with MVP. The other hard thing about it, I mean, it's in warm weather. You got elevation, but it's all on concrete as well, which makes it hard.
Yeah, I didn't realise how much of that would be on like bitumen and concrete. It takes a toll after a while.
Yeah, it does.
And there was just a small portion of that went for about 50 meters that had a little bit of leaves, like dead leaves on the ground.
Yeah.
And even running on that was such a relief.
Mm. Yeah, agree. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, well, what the things we do to ourselves, eh?
So Nick, you haven't even thought about another backyard ultra?
I think if I do, it'll be Shepparton. And I think if I'm going to sign up, it'll definitely be Shepparton. I think as far as I think that'll be the obvious choice is to head north for a weekend and see how I go.
Yeah.
I think going into state and don't ever quite ready to do those ones yet. I'll do another local one and see what it's all about, learn a bit more, and then see how I feel after that.
Yeah. Well, Shepparton's a lot of fun. Me and Phil were both there last year.
Yeah. Terrific.
It's awesome. It's a nice course. It's a lot. I think it's a lot similar to the MVP course, like you're running amongst the eucalypts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's very flat.
Okay.
And it's a lot of
sort
fun.
of with MVP. I think I've described it as, and I think your podcast before this, Dave, where it pretty much dictates to you when you need to walk and when you need to run. I think that was a good thing. Like any hill, like I was watching when Ross was walking every little hill there was, the tiniest ones that we were all still running.
Yeah.
So
how about when you at MVP, when you're at the base of that big hill and you look up and you can see other runners up the top?
How to put a dagger in your heart, that.
That is so true. It's almost like it's deliberate. Like race directors, honestly. Let's look at this hill. We can make them not only go up the hill, but they'll be able to see the people in front of them.
I reckon from that hour, would have probably been from like 18 to 24, you'd have Ross, Johnny Holiday, yourself, Phil. And I'm just looking up and like, oh, this is going to get long quickly.
What about you, Phil? Do you have any goals as far as backyard ultras go, like this year, or?
I'd really like to get through the second night. So that's twice now I've got into the second night and pulled the pin. So I sort of struggle with running at night when there's hardly anyone around for some reason. I don't know why. The first night, no dramas, but the second night, I think starts to play on my mind a bit. I'm not sure why. But if I'm the only person there, it just makes me feel a bit uncomfortable. So I need to work on that, sort that out.
Yeah.
So.
I felt a similar thing. Were you guys like just maybe hallucinating just a little bit towards the end as well, a bit when it started getting dark?
Yeah, big time. I was starting to hear voices and people laughing, and I kept turning around. I'm like, oh, what's going on?
Oh, really?
Yeah, that first loop that we did, walking up that hill and then running that flat section, walking again, I kept turning around like, where are all these voices coming from? Like, who's laughing?
Really?
It was so funny. And I was like, said to my crew, they're like, oh, it's starting to set in. I was like, yeah. I think that's what talked me out of going out for that. I knew when I came in, and like, it was getting dark. I'm like, I'm not going to get back for another one. Like, it was getting dark and I didn't want to be out there again. And like, mentally, I think I would have just fried myself, what was left of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you hallucinated in other races before, Nick? Or?
No, that's the first time. That's the first time I've been out that long. So when I was up at Brisbane, I was out for 17 and a half hours. But yeah, I've never been out for that long.
Yeah.
In the dark as well. So
yeah. Phil, did you start seeing things or?
Yeah, I had one lap early on the first night where I saw all sorts of things, and there's still a woman out there somewhere in a white top holding a sword, hiding behind a tree.
Oh no!
Yeah, I don't know why she's there, but she was definitely there.
And that was on the first night.
That was on the first night. Yeah, there was one lap, and I don't know what happened. And the next lap, I was okay again. But yeah, there was a dark cat sitting in the creek, and there was something else. There was something else going on as well. There were two people hiding in the grass, lying in the grass. Yeah, all at the same time, all within about 5 minutes, and then it went away. But I've had hallucinations at other races before, and it's kind of fun. I mean, it's a bit freaky that your mind's messing with you, but it is kind of fun if you can. I haven't heard hallucinations like you were describing with the laughter and that sort of thing. Yeah. Thank goodness, because I think that might freak me out if I heard that.
Look, I had a headphone in and I was like, no, that's music. And I was turning around, looking around. I'm like, what's going on? And I was like, oh, I'll just accept it and move on. Like, it's going to be like this. Like, that's better. You just know you've accepted what's going on and then you can just move past it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was seeing shapes in the trees, like faces in the trees and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's like some things, like just seeing a signpost, I thought it was a person walking their dog, for example.
Yeah.
And I realised, oh, it's a signpost. But I knew that things were going to get a little bit weird when it got dark. And I felt a little bit like you, Phil. I was a bit uneasy about going out there on my own. And I think that's another thing that got me towards the end. I remember, like, on my 26th loop, I was almost purposely, like subconsciously, I feel like I was almost going slower on purpose to give myself, and I think, I almost didn't make the time. I'm not going to make it next time, sort of thing. So I think the mental side is the part that I've got to work on more.
Yeah, I think I might have been doing the same too there. I don't think I realised I was doing it until I'd done it. And then I said, I wasn't pushing at all. Probably could have gone a bit better, I think.
Yeah, when I followed Phil in at 26, I think that my mental psyche was like, if he can't make it back, I'm not going to make it back with.
Yeah.
And I think I dropped 3.5, 4 minutes between 25 and 26. Admittedly, I went pretty fast at 25, but I think I just gave it, knowing that if I don't push now, I'm going to miss 25 as it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were listening to a bit of some tunes while you're out there, were you, Nick?
Yeah, I try to not listen to music. Normally, I don't listen to music at all when I'm out sort of racing. And I think for one loop during Friday night, I put music in, but I really didn't want to rely on it too much.
Yeah.
But when it got hard, I had to put it in, and I had no choice at that point.
That was one of the things that I forgot to use. That was one of my last resorts.
Yeah.
That I was going to use when things got really hard, and I just forgot. So
right.
I'm a little bit annoyed at myself about that.
Would have been interested to see if that changed your mental psyche.
Yeah. I was the way I was. I don't, even if someone reminded me about it, I don't think I would have listened to the music.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still a bit annoyed. But oh well.
Is it not? And this is what I was sort of thinking about, and I thought I'd raise it when you said you want to have a chat. Was that guys a group of people not working together? It seemed that not a lot of groups sort of pushing each other. Everyone was sort of out there doing their own thing, or just. Is that common in backyards, or it just depends on the group of people you've got together?
I think it does depend. Well, I don't know what you think, Phil, but I think it just depends on who else is out there, who's running at your pace.
Yeah.
I ran with a lot of different people on different loops and had a lot of good chats with a lot of different people, but I didn't run consistently with any one person or people. What do you think, Phil?
I would run with someone if they were running at my pace, but there just weren't many people running at my pace. And sort of looking around, it's amazing how many approaches there are to running the same little piece of turf.
Yeah.
Everyone sort of walks and runs in slightly different paces and walks in different places. And I'm all about trying to find a rhythm as I'm going around and just being nice and comfortable in what I'm doing. And so I'm not real keen on walking when I should be running and running when I shouldn't be, when I think I should be walking. Yeah. So it makes it hard, but to sort of spend a loop with someone, I guess. Yeah. I would if someone was going the same pace, but it's more sort of, I have sort of brief encounters, I guess, rather than anything else. Yeah.
I think also when I'm running with someone, I don't want them to feel like they've got to stay with me. Like, you've got to run your own race as well. Like, if someone wants to run faster than me, I want them to run away from me and not feel obliged to run with me just to be polite. I mean, I've had some of the best conversations I've had with anyone ever while I've been out doing backyard ultras. But if someone wants to run faster than me, then they've got to run their own race at the end of the day. But I think if you go out there with a few people, like as a team, and you're all in the same marquee or you're next to each other maybe, and you pre-plan, maybe if you've got a plan going into a race, you can sort of come up with a strategy of how you're going to run together, when you're going to run together.
Yeah.
Sort of figure out a plan around that.
Yeah.
It's hard to do it with people you've only met for the first time. Like, you might get lucky. I remember when me and Phil ran in Shepparton, I reckon we ran about 5 or 6 loops together, but that's just because we were running at the same pace. And we had some great chats though.
Yeah, that was terrific. Yeah, that really helped me there, and it was fun. Yeah, but that's a sort of it's an easier course to do it there, isn't it? Because it's flatter.
Yeah.
There's far fewer obvious walk points. There's that hill, and other than that, you just sort of cruise along slowly. And
Yeah, I found I ran with a group at like 18, 19, 20, and then that group dropped off, and then 23, 24, there was a handful of us, and then that group dropped off, and then 26, 27, we were all on our own after that.
Yeah. Do you feel like you probably would have, or you might have gone a bit further if you did have people to run?
I think it just made the loop a little bit easier when those things got tough. Like, you weren't thinking about the pain because you were caught up in a conversation or someone who's saying, "I will walk this together and run that." So those decisions were taken out of your hands.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing. Like, it went a lot quicker than what you thought it would. And, those were making it back in 51, 52 minutes with time to spare. So I think, like you said, they're all in that same pace. No one was trying to outdo each other. We're all in that same pain or at the splits together and doing it. So,
yeah. Well, it was an awesome race. I don't know about. Well, I know you guys enjoyed it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I loved it. I think Trails Plus always put on good events, and there was and on top of that, the thing about backyards is the hub, isn't it? Everyone comes back together, and you all stand there together, and you see everybody, and it's just a great way to spend a day or two.
Yeah, exactly. I think for the first time for me, like coming back through that start-finish line and having people consistently cheer you on, it just gives you that extra pep rather than being stuck out there the whole time. Yeah, it was amazing to see so many faces who you never knew saying, "Good job, keep it up, you're doing well." When you think you're just walking it, and they're like, "Nah, you're doing well, keep moving."
Yeah.
So
yeah, that is super. Yeah, I would say that's almost my favourite part of it. I think I think we had this chat actually out there, Nick, is that doesn't happen in the rest of my life,
Exactly. We said this, said where else in the world, and we said never. Only the trail community do what we do.
Yeah. I wouldn't, in the old days, I didn't go to work and someone didn't come up behind me and say, "Yeah, well done, Phil, good spreadsheeting, congratulations."
That's exactly the word you used while we were out there. Exactly the example.
It just doesn't happen,
No, you're dead right. Dead right.
Mm.
Yeah, it's great. Love it.
Well, thanks for coming on the podcast.
All right. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. It's been great chat.
No worries.
Thank you very much.
Well done on both of you. You both did a bloody awesome job.
So
and,
did you.
Yeah. Same
thanks.
to yourself, Dave. Well done. Really, really
Yeah.
good. I actually felt a little bit silly, Dave, after I found out who you were. I was like, oh, I listened to this guy's podcast. I didn't even know what he looks like until you added me. I was like, oh, good one, Nick. Well done.
Oh, really? Yeah. It's funny because when I ran a 12-hour timed ultra in Adelaide late last year, and the winner of the thing, like Holly Ranson, she broke the Australian record and all that. She came on, and her crew who was running with her for some of the time, apparently he was telling her about the podcast while they were running, and I was there too, and they didn't even know it was me. So I sent her the message when I was back in Melbourne the next day. I sent her a message saying, "Oh, he was telling me about your podcast when you were there." Yeah.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Same as how I felt afterwards. I was on the way back and I looked, I was like, oh, good one, Nick. Well played.
Well, you're not to know because you don't really know what I look like.
No, that's right. When you said, oh, Dave, and then I was like, oh. And then when you added me on Instagram and I saw, I was like, yep, there he is.
Yeah, there was another guy there who knew it was me. He heard my voice. He goes, "Oh, that's him." And he came up and introduced himself to me. Yeah. But yeah, well done, guys. I guess I'll see. Hopefully, I'll see you soon. But otherwise, it sounds like I'll see you both at Shepparton.
Yep, definitely.
You'll see me at Coburg, hopefully.
Yeah, I'll be there 100% sure. Coburg. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Come down for a look. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate the chat tonight. It's been good.
No worries. Hope your injuries get better soon too.
Yeah, no doubt. It'll just be a bit more rest and recover.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
You too.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Phil.
Yeah, fellas. Yeah,
cheers.
thanks.
See you later. Bye.
Yeah.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, it would be awesome if you could share, comment, like, subscribe, all of that. If you've got any feedback, shoot me a message. Hope you have a great day. See ya.